Welcome back. In this lesson, we'll have a look at transforming the population by age data that we ingested into our data lake from the Azure Storage account. We'll do that in 2 steps. First, I'll walk you through the requirements and then I'll show you Python notebook that I've created to transform the data to meet this requirement. I'll attach the Python notebook as part of the course material so you can use the same Python notebook if you don't want to create your own transformation scripts. But as you know, we loaded this data into our data lake. So let's switch over to the Storage Explorer and have a look at that now to understand it so that we can talk about the requirements. Let's browse to our Data Lake Storage and to account, which is the COVID reporting learn ADFDL. And here actually we got the data under raw population, and this is the file population by age.tsv. So I've already downloaded the file and opened that in Excel. So let's walk through the file. As you can see, the first column has the age group and the country code, and then you've got the years for which the data relates to. So let's do a filter on one of the countries. So I'll pick UK as an example so it'll make a bit more sense looking at the data. So we got 6 records here. As we can see, the 6 records, each one relates to different age groups, so that's 0 to 14, 15 to 24, and 25 to 49 like that. And then you've got the years. So the data we got is from 2008 to 2019. Here, as we talked about only COVID-19 analysis, we only want the year 2019 data. We don't really want the rest of the data. So the first thing as part the transformation is to drop all the columns we don't need. So we can drop all of this data and we'll keep the 2019 data. And the second thing we would want to do is make easier to join these data with other sources. As we know in the other sources, we got a country code, a separate columns here. We don't have that, so we would want to split this into 2 columns, one called age group and the other one called country code. So we'll keep the country code as a separate column, which is the 2-digit country code. And then similar to the other file, we can do a look upon our dim table, a dim country, to get the country code, 3-digit population, and the country name itself, so that it's a bit more consistent with other files. So that is the second step we'll do. And then the third one we would want to do is we want to pivot this data so that all of the data relates to UK is in one line, and then you would have separate columns for each of the age groups rather than a row. So it'll be 6 new columns added to this file as opposed to the 6 separate records here. So with that, you can join the rest of the data using the country code, and then you can come and pick whatever column you want the value for rather than looking for separate columns. That's what we'll do. To summarize, this is our raw file structure and this is the transformed file. We'll do a substr to get the country code 2-digit from here, and we'll do the lookup to get the other 3 columns here, which is country code 3-digit, and population. And we'll do a pivot using the data from here, which will have the age group and the value from here to create the 6 new columns. So the 6 rows for each country would become 6 new columns. So that is the requirement. I'll now switch over to the Databricks workspace and show you the Python notebook, which can do what we want to do. Let's head to the workspace and import the Python notebook. So we can put the notebook under the COVID folder. And for this, actually, I'll create a new folder called Trans to keep a transformation notebook so that they're all kept in a tidy place when we need them. And then we want to import the new notebook. So I've got the notebook in my local folder, and that is called transformpopulationdata.py. And this will be available as part of the course material. So click OK and then click Import. So this is the Python notebook. I'll quickly walk you through what it does. I've documented it enough, but I'll quickly give you a walkthrough. So we import the SQL functions because we use them later. The first thing we do is we read the population data. So that will be from our raw population folder within our storage account. So that's the new mount that we created. And the second step we want to do is to pull out the age group. So that is doing a split and then replacing the PC underscore with nothing so that you get just the year groups, and then split in the country code from that column as well. And also, we've dropped all the other columns. So we are only keeping the 2019 column. So it'll have the country code, age group, and the percentage 2019, and over that we'll create a temp view. So we can use that later on. And then we use the pivot function in order to pivot the data to move the age groups from a row to columns. So that's what this is doing, and we are creating a temp view on that one as well. And then the next thing to do is to do a lookup read of the country lookup table. So it is reading that from the storage account. That's the lookup dim country, and it's got a separate comma, a separated file. And then we create a temp view on that one. So we'll join this temp view and this temp view to get the data for country codes and the population and things like that. So that's what is happening here. So we joining the raw population pivot, that's the first view, and the join the second view based on the country code 2-digit. And now we get the country code, 2-digit, 3-digit population, and then the pivoted columns. So we had because if you remember, the value of the column was PC_yo_14. But we did a replace here to get rid of the PC_. So it would only have the Y0_14, and we've renamed that to age group 0_14 to make it a bit more meaningful to read. So that is our data frame. And now we'll use that data frame to write to our CSV file in our output. So that is under our storage account processed. And then we'll create a new folder called population. So if I switch over to storage account, what will happen is under processed we'll have a new folder called population and the file would be written in there. So that's what we are doing, but we are doing a CSV right here. But normally on a big project you would probably write that data in Parquet. But I want to keep it simple so we can download the CSV and have a look at the data. So that's why I've done a CSV option here. That is basically the notebook, and it does what we want to do. One thing we need to do is to replace the storage account name here with the tag so that it works for you. So I'm going to do that for me. It is. So you can come over to edit and then find and replace and everything here. Ours is called COVID Reporting Learn ADFDL. So let's do a replace, and it's replaced everywhere, I hope. So let's make sure that's happened. Yes. Okay, so our Python notebook is ready. In the next lesson, we'll take this Python notebook and run it from Data Factory so that it's been up a compute, run the notebook, give us the output. That will be great. So I'll see you in the next lesson.